All right. All right. Hopefully you can hear me now. So let's try this again. We will work out all the kinks. That's for sure. Let's test it out. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Perfect. All right. So my sound is working. It's really loud, but I don't know why. All right. Can you hear me now? Hopefully you can hear me. We worked it out. Fixed it. Hopefully you can hear me. Hey, you can hear me. Let's go. Oh my gosh. I was talking to myself for 8 minutes. So um, hopefully, hopefully we can fix this. Oh man, I was talking to myself for like 8 minutes. So anyways, if you guys have any questions, I'm here for you. Live Q&A. I'm here to help you guys, whether it's virtual or local wholesaling. I'd love to answer your questions and provide some value to you. It's my first live Q&A, so bear with me. We'll get it figured out. Work out the kinks. Thank you for joining. Comment where you're coming from, and yeah, let's ask some questions. I'm here to answer your guys' questions. So just want to say welcome to the Wholesale Freedom Channel. For those who don't know, my name's Alex Harshman. I'll be doing videos every Tuesday, whether they're live or they're ones I published. Hopefully answer any questions you have. If you have any questions or any content ideas, let me know. I'd love to make a video on it. Make sure you subscribe. Give me a thumbs up if this helps you. It provides any value to you, as it does help the channel. Click that notification bell. That way you get notified of all my future videos, or if I ever go live. That way you can answer or ask your questions and I can answer them. And I'm here to help you guys. So this is all free content, free value, and I've got a ton of experience. I've made over $100,000 in mistakes. It generated over a couple six figures in my first year of real estate. Over 50 transactions. So just plug away. I've done both virtually and locally, and I would love to share that experience and knowledge with you. So for those who don't know, virtual wholesaling is the process of locking a property up over the phone, never going out to see the buyer, the seller, the property, the title company, or anything in between, and doing that in a way that you can just work basically anywhere that you have an internet connection. So you can have the time freedom to do whatever you want, whether you leverage other people's efforts and money, or you go out and you do it yourself. So I do this several states away. I'm located in Maryland, but I actually wholesale down south. I've never been to the state. Actually, it's pretty funny that I wholesale in, but I've wholesaled multiple properties and generated a lot of relationships down there, a lot of revenue. And if you guys want to find out more about that, be sure to just ask some questions below. And I'd love to talk more about it. Or if you're interested, whatever questions you have, put them in the comments or the chat box, and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. So again, I'm here to help you, and I would love to provide that value. So I see where you guys commented that you can hear me. I'm not getting any future comments or text here, so can you please explain double closing more in depth? Yeah, absolutely. So double closing, great question. So double closing is where maybe you have an assignment fee that you're selling to your cash buyer for a lot of money. So for example, I had a $65,000 deal. It was my very first deal. And a lot of times when we have buyers, if they're not the most serious buyers, they will balk at that price or the fact that you're making more money than them potentially. And you want to kind of hide that from them, because not only do you not want them to see it, but maybe the seller so the deal doesn't get blown up, because then the seller could say, well, that doesn't make sense. Why are you making so much money off my property? In that event, you do what's called a double closing. And the reason why is because, again, you don't want to show the buyer or seller, but also you can actually, the only thing about that is whenever you do a double close, you take possession of the property very briefly, and actually your name goes on title, or your company name goes on title. So you got to consider that for a couple things: tax reasons, because now you have to worry about capital gains, and if you have the right accountant, you can avoid that. But you got to take on the risk of owning that property, even just for a brief second. And there's usually more fees involved because you're paying 2 sets of closing costs. It's usually not that much, and it really doesn't matter, because whenever you do a double close, it's to make those gains on the bigger profits. And for that reason, I would just use caution whenever you're doing that. But if you filter the buyers correctly and you're able to find serious cash buyers, usually they don't have a problem with how much you make. As long as they get a good deal and you're bringing them value, they don't care how much you make. And that's how it should be. Unfortunately, not every buyer's like that. People are very greedy. And it doesn't matter how much you're making. If somebody's making more than you, typically people get upset about that. So again, it's not the way it should be, but that's typically how it is. Says, if that answers your question, let me know. Or if you're looking for a more specific answer, just add on to that. So Fidel says, I have a situation, deal is supposed to close by December 2nd, but has a lien and title, and lien has to get transferred to buyer, but city doesn't like wholesalers. So an option is to cancel my purchase and sale, and the seller has to do one. It's so dangerous. About to blow up. If I could double close and make it work, it's good with making 15K. Where are you located, Fidel? That's giving you issues on that. If the property has a lien, that lien, Rhode Island, okay, that lien should be taken out of the seller's amount. So typically whenever we lock up the property, if there's any liens associated with that, it comes out on the seller's portion. I mean, you can get the buyer to agree to take on that lien, but it's very rare that they'll do that unless they know exactly how much it is, and the title company should be able to give that to you. Is transferred to the city. If they don't like wholesalers and they're not willing to do an assignment, then yes, double closing is the best option. And you want to make sure that your title company can use the end buyer's funds to purchase the property and to fund the entire transaction, because otherwise you're going to have to find a hard money lender or somebody that fronts that money for you, and you don't want to do that. I've never done that, and I've never had to do that. You just need to find a title company. I actually have a video on my YouTube that shows how to find those and how to filter them. I call live title companies, and you can check that out. I go into a market that's not even a market I'm in, and I go out and filter title companies. It's pretty interesting. It's a simple lien, fixing the porch and some tile. The transfer is the problem with the city. Yeah, again, if you can just do a double close, you can get around that. And so I would ask them if they do the A to B to C transactions, or double closing, or simultaneous closing, or back-to-back closing is what they call it. So this is usually the terminology that all title companies use, and you can just simply ask them, hey, do you do these things? And then also you want to find out, are they able to use the end buyer's funds to process the entire transaction? Again, because you don't want to come out of pocket. What is the best software to use a wholesaling skip tracing looking for leads? Best software is to use PropStream. I'll have a link in the description. You can check out. It's a 7-day free trial to it. And after that 7 days, it will charge you if you want to keep doing it. It's 97 bucks a month. You can pull 10,000 leads per month. You can also pull cash buyers. You can find comps. I mean, the value is insane on how much you can do with that 97 bucks a month. So again, I'll have that link in the description after this is over, and you can check that out. So it's simple. Perfect. Thank you. I would not skip trace on PropStream though. Oh yeah, for skip tracing, good point. I didn't mention that. So skip tracing, I would use either batch skip tracing, or I have what's called REI Sift. So I guess it stands for Real Estate Investing Sift, SIFT. So REISift.com, and it's run by a guy named Tyler. And the whole purpose of the program is to filter your data and put them in the categories and the buckets so you can stack them if you want to, but they actually have a skip tracing feature inside of it for 15 cents per skip trace, and it won't double charge you. So let's say if you pull a list from PropStream, you pull another list and you have overlaying information where maybe that data you already paid for, they will not charge you for any copied data, so any duplicates basically, and you won't waste money that way. That's the whole reason I went with them, because that's it. I mean, that's huge. Unless you want to go through each one by one and delete them, the system automatically detects it and filters it. So I'll ask the closing attorney today. Perfect. Yeah, take action today. Figure that out. If you got till December 2nd, you're on a timeline. You can always extend with the seller unless their property is going to be taken. But do your best to try to get closed as soon as possible. What's the best websites for finding deals by owner, not by agent? So you can do Zillow for sale by owner. You can go to Zillow, and I have a video on that as well, where you can filter the thing there where it says for sale, and you can just click by owner. I would cold call each one of those and then ask them, obviously, if they want to make an offer on them, you know, whatever script you have or lines that you say. But for me, if you want to get over the fear of rejection, the fear of negotiation, call all the for sale by owners on Zillow. You can go to forsalebyowners.com. Craigslist for sale by owners. Cold call each one of them and just offer half of what they're asking. This is strictly to get over the fear of cold calling, and just wait for that rejection. And if you get somebody that accepts, obviously that's a great deal. But if you already have a system in place, you're not scared to talk to them, then that's a great place to find free leads. Absolutely. Can you put all of those links that you mentioned after finish with the live? Absolutely. I put all those videos that I've done in the live description. It just doesn't allow me to edit it, I believe, until the video is over. But you can check out my channel. I have a link that's pinned there where you can subscribe and get access to all those videos. Do you guys have any other questions or anything about wholesaling, virtual wholesaling, whatever it may be that I can help you with? These are all great questions, by the way. Have you ever done a deal with an agent? So are you talking about a deal with the agent as the seller or agent with the buyer, or both? Because I've done all of those. If you're talking about the both. So seller as the agent. Yeah, so I have actually recently closed a virtual deal for $18,000. It was an agent owner. He had listed this property on the MLS. I guess he bought it from an auction. He ran out of money because even though they're agents, they're not always created equal, which means sometimes the agents, just because they're real estate agents, 99% of them don't know anything about real estate. And as hard as that is to say, or, you know, if there's an agent listening to this, I'm sure they can attest to it, especially if they're familiar with wholesaling, because not all agents are created equal. Not all wholesalers are created equal either. But as an agent owner, I treat it exactly the same as if it was just a regular seller, because you want to call their bluff. They're going to tell you, like, hey, I'm an agent. I know the ropes. Don't try to play anything. I say, okay, Mr. Seller, and I go through my entire script exactly the same. I'm a little bit more on the rapport and communication with them because they're a little bit more savvy. So I try to keep the communication clean and current, but I treat it exactly the same. So filter them the same, call their bluff. My first deal I ever did was owned by an investor, and I got $65,000 for my first deal. It was an investor owner, and then I had the $18,000 deal with the real estate agent as the owner. I've also done deals where the real estate agent has brought the buyer. And so in that situation, what you want to do is you want to ask them, it's just like any kind of JV deal you do. Hey, if you bring a buyer, you know, well, first off, I have a video that shows you how to find these real estate agents that bring you buyers. And what you want to ask them is, hey, you know, my partner and I, we fix and flip houses in the area, but sometimes we can't keep everything. So I want to know from you, do you work with any cash buyers who may be interested in off-market properties? If they say yes, then obviously send them out your properties. If they say no, or what are you talking about, chances are they're one of those 99% that don't know what they're talking about, or they don't know anything about wholesaling, which is fine. We don't want to waste our time with them. Don't argue with them or anything like that. Just say, okay, thank you so much, and then go on to the next one. And you can find those cash buyers or the realtors who bring the cash buyers via PropStream, like I mentioned before. Like I said, I explained all that in the video that I have, but it's a very good question. So if it's a seller who's an investor or a real estate agent, I don't care if they're an attorney, treat them exactly the same as you would a normal seller and go through the normal process that you have, uh, and call their bluff, because I've made the most money actually off of investor and real estate owners, if you can believe it. So great question. Is there any other questions you guys have? Yeah, a lot of people think with agents it is different because you automatically, I know when I first started, I assumed that real estate agents, they got to go through all these qualifications, they got to know all these things about the market. And I was like, all right, well, they're the experts. It's not, that's simply not the case. Most of these guys are just, you'd be amazed at how much they don't know. You know, I find better comps than some of the agents. They're like, oh, well, the comp's got to be this and this. And I'm like, no. Somebody had actually asked me a question, should I be an agent or should you try to be an agent before you start wholesaling? And I think that's a great question. And I think the answer to that depends on you. For me, I don't like rules. I don't like to be obligated to a certain organization. I don't like to be limited. And for that reason, I don't like to be a realtor, because they got to be held to a higher standard. They have the board of realtors who oversee everything and dictate how much you can make, what kind of business you can conduct, and how you conduct that business. And there's so many rules. It's almost like the military, where there's a rule to try to get you in trouble in case you're a dirtbag. And I think it's the same thing with realtors, where if they want to kick you out, they can. You know, they got a rule for everything. So now there's agents who walk that line and they're able to wholesale and they're able to be an agent at the same time. But for me, I'm not good at walking that line. I like to be one way or the other. And I like my time freedom. I like my ability to make as much as I want without having to worry about who thinks of what. And also, you got to pay to be a realtor, which doesn't make sense. You got to pay for your MLS access. You got to pay to be a part of the brokerage. You got to pay the broker every time you get paid. It just doesn't make sense to me. But for some people, they make a good living off of it. They're able to find deals on the MLS before anybody else gets to it. There's advantages. You get access to the MLS. I mean, you can be partnered with other wholesalers. There's a lot of advantages to being a realtor, but they don't outweigh the disadvantages for me. And I hope that makes sense. So, what free sources do you use to find specific properties like vacant, high equity, absentee owner, or tax delinquents, etc.? So you can go to your county's website, county assessor's webpage, and typically if your state is in a public state, you can find a lot of that information. And I would try to find, there's some resources on those websites that say how to search for certain items, or maybe even going to your county courthouse and asking the clerk there, hey, how do I find this information? That is going to be the best free way to get information. Obviously, anytime you do anything the free way, you're going to consume a lot of time, but you're obviously getting it for free. So that's the trade-off there. And I have a video on that as well. So you get free marketing and then you have paid marketing. So the time commitment on paid, it's way down here. So that's why people that are at higher levels, or maybe have some money to put towards marketing, they pay for that because it's a lot quicker and they can, use that. But when you're starting out, absolutely leverage your time and energy to find that information. And the county clerk in the courthouse is the best way to learn all that, because you get hands-on experience. And not only that, but if you hire somebody else to do that, you're going to get the first dibs on that information. So when people pull this information from like PropStream, even as much as I like to say their information is up to date, you go out there weekly, you're going to have the most up-to-date and current information, which puts you in front of the seller first. And that's why people think as a beginner you can't leverage that to make more money or to get these deals before other people. But actually, you're getting first dibs and first access because you're able to get in front of the seller first. Whereas the person who's already established may not have the time and energy to be there quickly. You have that advantage. And that's how I landed my first 65K deal. This guy called all these websites that we buy houses, and I was the first person to call him back. And I mean, I called him back in 15 minutes. So, most people, like, even now, if I get a call like that, I don't get it for a couple of hours. And it's not because I don't check it or I don't have any notifications. It's because I'm usually doing something. So for that reason, if somebody had already been called by them and they're a newbie, they could have called them right back and locked that deal up the same day. That's why and how you can leverage being a newbie to get these deals before everybody who's established. I may get a job to pay for things like PropStream. Are there any sources you recommend? For lists, I just use PropStream. You know, for even the bigger guys, bigger than I am, they use PropStream as well for lists. ListSource is another place you can pull lists, but you're going to pay a lot of money. And for that reason, I don't recommend it. I've used ListSource for my direct mail before PropStream, and PropStream just seems to be way more worth it. Dialer and skip tracing. So I use Call Tools for my dialer. You can dial up to 10 lines per person, and I have my VAs sit there and they call on Call Tools. And the one thing I like about Call Tools over Mojo is Call Tools, you can actually listen to the call live. You can even barge into the phone call if your VA's not doing a great job, or maybe they need access to the manager. Also, you can also whisper to your agent to where the seller doesn't hear you for live training. I think that's extremely powerful. And it's actually less money than if you were to go to Mojo per person. If you call them and you say, I want to sign up for Call Tools, I was referred by Alex from Wholesale to Freedom, they'll actually discount your plan every month just for referring my name. So for skip tracing, I did talk about that. I talked about REI Sift. And REI Sift is a program where you can filter information and also skip trace for 15 cents, and they won't double charge you for duplicates. If you're just joining in, be sure to ask any questions. I'm answering them. I'm on fire right now. I'm ready to go. Answer some more. This is fun. This is my first live stream, so I appreciate you guys being here, sharing this moment with me, and being participants in this video. So I am probably going to end it here in about 10 to 15 minutes because I have an appointment here. But for those who don't know, for those who don't want to search like the YouTubes, or you don't want to spend hours searching for the information, they have a little bit of money they want to invest in themselves or their business. I do have a course that I'm starting off next week. It's only going to be for 10 people. I've got a couple people that filled the slots already. It's going to be an investment in yourself and in your business. It's not going to be free. It's not going to break your bank, but it's not also it's not going to be like one of these cheap $500 courses where they ask, they leave you begging for more. They leave you trying to sell you on another course. My course is going to lay out how to virtually wholesale, how to find a market, how to filter buyers, how to be confident in your systems, how to scale. I mean, there's just so many benefits. But if you think you would be interested in that and you want that information handed to you on a silver platter, I'll put the link in the description after this as well. And you guys can check that out and fill out a couple questions and see if we're a good fit for each other. When you recycle dispositions in Call Tools, do you recycle the system dispositions? Do you recycle system dispositions and agent dispositions? Yeah, so I recycle everything from people who are not interested. So I'll do like a recycle where I'll do everybody who didn't answer, who wanted a call back, who hung up on us, or who were not available, or I got a voicemail. And I will do all the agent I don't filter it between agent and system. I just automatically, there should be an option to just do everything. So I just do everything for that specific campaign. I hope that answers your question. If that answers your question, let me know. So do you skip trace with PropStream or batch leads? I've done PropStream. It's a little bit more expensive, but I skip trace with REI Sift now. I've done batch skip before. I like their system, but they take a little bit of time. I like REI Sift better. It's $50 a month. You pay 15 cents per skip trace, and you can organize your data in the buckets, and you can actually list stack your data as well. And for $50 a month, you don't get double charged for duplicate information. So if you pull two separate lists and for some reason you have 1,000 people who are on both of those lists, it won't charge you for 1,000 people twice. It'll actually filter it and put it into two stacked buckets. So that way you can get that information stacked, and you can see, well, these guys are on two separate lists. They must be more motivated. Those are all great questions. We are having phenomenal questions right now. If you guys have any other questions, let me know. If I've answered your question or provided any value, be sure to give this a thumbs up. It does help the channel, and it lets me know that, hey, I'm providing some value here for you. Where are you all from? What markets are you in? How long have you been using SIF? So I've been using SIF for a little under a month right now. I've heard about it before, and I've never had any use for it. Honestly, the only reason I'm using it is for the list filtering abilities, where you can stack them and kind of organize your data. But also I'm using it because it doesn't double charge you when you skip trace, whereas batch, they won't, you know, if you skip trace one list and you go to do another one, as far as I know, they will double charge you. So I like it for that reason, and it saved me already like $100 some from skip tracing in the short time that I've used it. So I lived in Texas, and I've seen some decent houses for 100,000, 150,000. They don't look like they need a lot of repairs. What would you offer for a house that price and the condition? All right, so this works in any state, any market, even California. It changes a little bit in those markets, but to find what you need to offer for a property, it doesn't matter where it's at, what it looks like. What matters is the formula, and that formula, the basic formula across the board, is whatever it's worth in the after repair value. So what it's fixed up, put on the market, and sold at retail value. You multiply that price by 70%, because investors will only pay 70% to its value minus repairs. So once let's say it's $100,000 after it's fixed up. A buyer is going to buy that at 70%. So that means if there's any repairs, we have to subtract that from the 70%. So 70% of 100,000 is 70,000. Let's say it needs $10,000 worth of repairs to get it to that ARV standard, that after repair value standard. Now we're at 60,000. This is going to be kind of where we subtract our assignment fee, or how much we want to make. So let's say we want to make $10,000 from that. So $10,000 minus, or 60,000 minus 10,000 brings us to 50,000, and that is our max allowable offer. That is what we want to be at the very minimum when we make our offer in order to make 10 grand. So I would, in that situation, offer probably around 35,000, because anything under 50 is even more money that I would make in my pocket. So let's just say I lock it up at the 50,000 because we want to make 10 grand. I'm going to advertise it to my buyer for 60,000 because I know it needs 10 grand worth of work, which puts my buyer at 70% to ARV, and that's where they're going to buy. So in order for me to sell it at 60, I need to get it at 50, and that's what you would base your offer off of. So you have to know what it's worth when it's just fixed up by finding comps. I have a video on my YouTube for that as well, on how to use Zillow for free, and also how to use PropStream, the paid service, to find comps. So that's how you would factor in what you would offer, and the condition. You want to ask those questions over the phone, or if you're going out in person, kind of get an idea, a rough estimate of how many repairs are going to be needed. You don't have to be a carpenter, you don't have to be a contractor to know what these things are. What market are you in? I'm actually in Maryland, but I virtually wholesale in the down south. But I've virtually wholesaled my own backyard: Virginia, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Maryland. I live in Maryland, but I want to wholesale virtually in Georgia or Florida. What would you recommend? Would you recommend those states? Yeah, I know people who are successfully wholesaling in both of those states. Georgia is one of the videos I made about filtering title companies. I cold call all of them and try to find the best one. And I had a hard time finding people in Atlanta that were for investor-friendly title companies. So other than that, I would recommend them. I think they're both great markets. Hey, what's going on, Danny? How are you? What questions do you guys have? I'm going to wrap this up here in about 5 minutes. What title companies in Georgia do you recommend? I don't have them off the top of my head. I made that call. I'm not in Georgia, and I made that call as just a demonstration of how I can go into a market, find investor-friendly title companies without having any experience prior. And I had that video. It's like 15 minutes, and I go through talking to multiple title companies and attorneys, and I did end up finding one. So can you react to a song my friends and I made? It's a Spanish song. We're a small group here in Madrid. Probably not. Do you know any title company recommendations in Texas? I don't have any title company recommendations, but another place for you guys to figure out where to find these places is to go to Wholesaling Houses full time on Facebook. The Facebook group there, it's run by Alex Youngblood. There's over 100,000 wholesalers and members in there. And if you just ask those questions, people already done the homework for you. You can ask them, hey, what's an investor friendly title company in this market? And they'll be able to provide some feedback. I almost always have my questions answered in there for any time I go into a different market and I need some information. You can also join investor groups that are local to that area on Facebook. So Real Estate Investors of Texas, Real Estate Investors of Dallas. Look that up in Facebook and go in there and ask those same questions. The name of the song is, okay, why? Sorry if I bothered you. Because I want to keep this real estate related. That's awesome you have a song, but I'm not sure how that applies here. What is the owner of that group's name? Alex Youngblood. Yep, Alex Youngblood runs that program. He's a pretty knowledgeable guy. I think he's based out of Virginia. He's been doing the game for a while, and yeah, so he's got a great group there, very active. Yeah, Danny. I hope no hard feelings, man. I hope you don't get upset by that, but just trying to keep it all related here. So thanks for stopping by, though. If you have any questions about wholesaling, I'd love to answer them. So we got about 4 minutes here before I head off. Man, that's 31 minutes so far. It's felt like 5 minutes. You guys are asking some great questions. I know there's going to be a lot of people who find value out of these questions. So not only are you helping yourself by getting these questions answered, but you're helping other people who are looking for these answers. So keep them up. Even if you don't have any questions right now and you're listening to this after the fact, be sure to ask your questions in the comments section and I'll try to answer them. How long have I been doing this for? So I've been doing this for 3 years. I got out of the military in 2017, April, and I didn't start in wholesaling until November of that year. So a little less than 3 years, actually. I started out because I quit my job. I didn't want to work for my dad anymore, working very hard for money, laying hardwood floors, and decided to go into wholesaling because I read a little bit about it. I made a post on biggerpockets.com about how I wanted to get started. Some people reached out to me and offered me a job wholesaling with them. And I cold call a list of 600 people that they gave me without using a dialer. That was before I knew there was a dialer. And I spent a lot of time doing that. And I found my first 3 deals under contract that month. It was actually pretty cool. I locked it up. It was all through the same seller. I had 3 separate properties locked up. I even renegotiated and negotiated that person without having any experience. So if I can do it, you guys can too. I just failed forward, right? I made my biggest mistake by telling my buyer my assignment fee, and my assignment fee went from $32,000 to $12,000, just like that, because I told him my assignment fee. I didn't, you don't know what you don't know. And after that, I found a bigger dog who was doing multiple deals through his business. And in my first year, I made them $600,000 in assignments with 0 experience on how to sell properties. And I was dispositions manager. After a year being with them, I went out on my own. And about 9 months after launching my LLC and having a website up for 9 months, I landed my first deal of $65,000, which helped me go out on my own. And I've done like 12 to 15 deals since then in my first year. So most wholesalers, when they're starting out, they only do about 1 to 2 to 3 deals in their first year. That's just the average. So I was very blessed and grateful to have that experience and to network. But I would say networking was the biggest thing for me to help me, meet these people and get these experiences. I am 17 and I'm trying to know the process of having adult sign contracts, but would you recommend I do texts or emails when talking to sellers since I sound younger? That's up to you. My mentor, my one-on-one mentor, was calling from Wholesale to Millions, and he could barely speak English whenever he started this business. So the limitations are the only limitations you have are the ones you put on yourself. And I think you could absolutely do this phone call. If they say anything about your age, just say, hey, I got into this business early. I've done my homework, and that's why I'm working for this company that buys houses for cash. And sometimes that's a good way to build rapport because people want to help young people. They want to help the younger generation, believe it or not. So, but you can do text messages or emails, whatever's convenient for you. But I strongly always recommend people start out cold calling because talking to sellers is the #1 skill you need to have. And I could lock up any property anywhere in the country, filter any seller or buyer, and that's a skill not many people have in this business. And if you can do that, you can make any kind of money you want. How many cold callers do you have? I have 4 cold callers right now. So I had just had 2 recently, and I added 2 more. I was actually training them this morning, and I'm really looking to scale up here. And I have a great team, a great culture that I'm building. How do you access boarded up properties? Well, first, you want to get the owner's permission. If you're wholesaling this property, you should already have it under contract. Or if you're talking to the seller, you want to have it under contract before you go out to it if they're not able to show you. And you use a drill and a crowbar. I had to do that before. I've showed properties to buyers with taking the plywood down, putting it back up. I've had squatters in the property when I was showing the property. Man, I've experienced just about everything. So I've been in a meth lab before where the tenants were, doing meth. There's needles on the ground, everything. So I've got stories to tell for days. My name is Alex Harshman. So yeah, that is all the time I have for today. If you guys, again, if you have any other questions, be sure to comment down below. If I haven't answered them, I'll answer them in due time. I do get to them pretty quickly, or I'll make a video on it. As always, I do videos every Tuesday. Smash that thumbs up if this has helped you at all. And, I'd love to share this information with you, do more lives. If you found any value, be sure to subscribe, click that notification bell. That way you get notified of all my future videos. If you've recently done your first deal and any information I've helped you with, or it's helped you with any kind of your business, I'd love to get you on the channel to interview you and do like a first subscriber first wholesale deal, or just to interview a power player interview. So I appreciate you all attending this live with me. I hope you found some value out of it, and I'll continue to talk to you guys on Instagram. You can follow me at _Harshman, _Harshman on Instagram, and you can follow me daily on there as well. So as always, thank you all so much. Thanks for attending and dealing with my technical issues at the beginning, but we got it figured out. So till the next one, take care, do your hair.